It's time for iTVLK lessons in collaboration with the Department of Education Central Province.
I'm Purnika Wijesinghe from the Department of Education Central Province. Welcome back to French lessons on iTVLK. So today's lesson is going to be imperative. Now this lesson will be explained to you under 3 subsections. That is, as you all can see, the first part will be to explain to you what is imperative. And in the second subsection, we will be learning how to use imperative with a normal verb in French. And the third topic will be explaining how to use imperative with pronominal verbs in French. Okay, here we take the first part. What is imperative? Now, as you can see in the screen, l'imperative is used to give orders or advices to one or more people. So that is to say, you can use imperative in French when you want to ask someone to do something. Now, let us move to the rest of our lesson. So here we come to the second subsection, that is how to use l'imperative with a normal verb in French. Now, as you can see in the screen, there are quite, around 4 rules that are explaining how to use l'imperative in French. L'imperative is conjugated in the same way as the present tense. So that is to say, you need not learn another tense to use l'imperative. The same conjugations that you use with present tense verbs are used in imperative too. The second idea to remember is that the imperative only exists in the second person singular, in the first person plural, and in the second person plural. That is to say, you may be conjugating a verb to present tense, but you will be using the conjugations related to tu, nu, and then to vu. So only 3 conjugations in this manner are used in imperative. But it is also important to remember, as the third idea tells to you, that the subject pronouns are not used in imperative. They are omitted. You don't use the subject pronouns. So you will be using in that case only the conjugated verb when you are conjugating a verb to imperative, the order form in French. Now the last information to remember is that in imperative, the exclamation mark is a must. Now, there is some important information to remember at the same time. That is, when you are conjugating a first group ER verb in imperative, related to the conjugations of tu, the last letter S should be omitted. But however, this rule will not be used with second group verbs and with third group irregular verbs. Now we will take some examples to understand the above mentioned rules. As you can see in this slide, I have taken 3 examples as parler, finir, and prendre. Now the verb parler is a first group ER verb, as we all know, and finir is a second group IR verb, and prendre is a third group irregular verb. Now, we will try to use the rules that we learned in the above slides. So, as you can see here in the first section, that is when I conjugate the verb parler to imperative, because as I said earlier, you can't actually use a subject pronoun in the order form. So they disappear. Then I take the conjugated verb as parle, parlant, parler. And if I take finir, there again the subject pronoun is not to be seen. You see only the conjugated verb as fini, finisson, finisse. If I take the third group, irregular verb, there again you see only the conjugated verb as prom, pronom, and prane. I have also mentioned the translation for you. You can actually read it. Now, if you carefully look at the first part, that is the first group, ER verb patle, there's another information that I mentioned to you that is marked. That is, when you're conjugating a first group ER verb with the subject pronoun you, the last letter S should be omitted. But I am not in a position to use that rule when I'm conjugating a second group verb or a third group irregular verb. So you see clearly here, when I conjugate the verb finir with tu, the last letter S is remaining. As well as pronto tu, I have not removed the last letter S related to the conjugations of the verb tu, of the verb pronto related to the subject pronoun tu. And also, we all see here that the exclamation mark is a must. Now, let us take some examples. Now, mange des légumes, as you can see, I have cut off the letter S, and the subject pronouns are not used. The exclamation mark appears, and at the same time, the conjugations are just like in present tense. So, mange des légumes is to say, eat vegetables. Choisissons une belle robe is to say, let us select a beautiful frock. Conduisez attentivement dans la rue is to say, drive carefully in the road. So these are some examples explaining to us how to use the order form in French. Now we will see how to use a verb in imperative in order form in negation. Now, as we learned earlier, the conjugations of imperative are just like in present tense. So when you put this into negative too, you will be using the same rules that you learned with negation in present tense. That is to say, as you can see here, we use ne pas, but ne will appear before the conjugated verb, whereas pas will appear after that conjugated verb. So I took the same three verbs like parler into imperative and finir into imperative as well as prompt. So when I say parle in positive, and when I want to say that in negative, I will use ne before that and pas after that. So I say ne parle pas to say do not speak. Finissons in positive, in negation, ne before and pas after that, as ne finissons pas, let us not finish. Prenez, ne prenez pas, do not take. So that is also quite easy for us to learn with the imperative format. Now, there are four exceptions that you need to remember when it comes to imperative. They are, as you can see here, être, avoir, aller, and savoir. Now, if I take the three verbs as être, avoir, and the last one as savoir, why do I say that they are exceptions? Because they do not follow the same conjugations that we use in present tense. Now, you are already familiar with the present tense conjugations of être. You know already conjugations of the verb avoir in present tense as well as savoir. So when you look at this order form of these three verbs, you realize that their conjugations are different from present tense. So that is why we say that être, avoir, as well as savoir are exceptional verbs in imperative. Now I come to the next verb, which I omitted actually, right? So that is the verb aller. Now aller, you may notice that it has the same conjugations like in present tense. So why do I take it as an exception in that case? That is, aller is a third group irregular verb though it ends with ER, we all know that it has irregular conjugations in present tense. So because of that, we consider it as a third group irregular verb. So when you take the conjugations are similar to present tense, fine. But like when it comes to the conjugations related to tu, even though ale is not a first group verb, it follows the rule of a first group ER verb. And that is why, related to the conjugations of tu, I have eliminated the letter S. The last letter S is eliminated. So that is why we take the verb ale also as an exception. Now here are some examples telling you how to use these exceptional verbs in the order form. Sois bon is to say be good. Ayons du courage, let us have the courage. Va à l'école, go to school. Ne sachez pas la vérité, do not know the truth. I come to the third and the last section of this lesson. That is how to use this order form imperative with a pronominal verb in French. Now, the same rules that we applied in using the imperative with a normal verb will be applied here too. But there are some changes that we have to do, which will be explained with an example. So here I took the verb se laver, which is a pronominal verb. We know that the verb which begins with se in infinitive is a pronominal verb. Fine. Now I have taken a chart in which I explain how to use se laver, the pronominal verb, in the order form, in positive format as well as in negative format. So first of all, I conjugated this verb se laver to present tense, because like what we learned earlier, imperative conjugations are just like in present tense. So I say, tu te laves, nous nous lavons, vous vous lavez. Don't forget to cut off, erase the subject pronoun. So tu, nous, vous, they disappear. Then I take the verb. When I take the verb related to tu, since se laver is the first group ER verb, I need to cut off the last letter S related to the conjugations of tu. So I apply that too. Then the problem comes with the pronoun as te, nous, vous. As you can see in the imperative positive format, I have taken this pronoun te, nous, vous to the back of the verb after a hyphen. So this pronoun is connected to the verb with a hyphen. But at the same time, the pronoun te has changed its format to toi. But the pronoun nous and vous are not changing its format. So it becomes as lave-toi, lavons-nous, lavez-vous in imperative positive format. And when it comes to negative, all the two rules that I applied in making imperative positive are taken off. That is to say, I have changed the pronoun toi back to te, and I use it before the conjugated verb. And the two other pronouns like nous, vous also, they come back to their normal places. And before that pronoun, I use the word ne to make it negative. And after the conjugated verb, I have pas. So in imperative negative, I have ne te lave pas, ne nous lavons pas, ne vous lavez pas. Now, when it comes to a pronominal verb into order form, it sounds a bit complicated, and you need to remember these rules carefully. Now, we will take a small exercise. Now, when it comes to your O-level exam, you can expect two types of questions with this lesson. That is, you might get it in a grammar question as well as in a translation. So here I have taken how to use it in a grammar lesson. So in case if you get the verb parler and that you have to conjugate it with the subject pronoun elle into the order form, you may say parle avec elle. Now I have used the rules that I learned, right? So I have cut off the subject pronoun, the letter S has disappeared, right? And I also use the exclamation mark. So don't forget to use that too. So when I take finir ton exercise, I have to make the sentence in order form as fini ton exercise. And in the second section, how to use imperative with the first person plural, that is with nous, is explained to you. So payer l'addition and prendre le tram, they are formed in imperative as payons l'addition and prenons le tram. So we are using actually the same rules that we learned earlier. And the last section we take imperative with the second person plural with vous. So you say demandez à votre professeur, because it's conjugated with vous, and attendre un instant, I have to write it as attendez un instant. So this is how you may have to use imperative when it comes to a grammar exercise where you have to make your sentence by using imperative. On the other hand, as I said earlier, let us try some translations also, because for the O-level exam, we have translations too. So in case if it appears with imperative as mange ta soupe s'il te plaît, how would you write that in English? Eat your soup, please, because it's the order form. Bois beaucoup d'eau. Drink a lot of water. Attendez ici pour le train, s'il vous plaît. Can you guess the answer? Yes, you know the answer. Here it is. Wait here for the train, please. Now, when I take the next verb, réveillons-nous de bonne heure. So I took a pronominal verb into order form because we learned them. So we get the translation as, can you guess? Yes, you are correct. Let us wake up early. And the last one, excusez-moi, madame, ne fumez pas ici. Translation comes as, excuse me, madam, do not smoke here. Now, I have underlined words such as s'il te plaît, s'il vous plaît, excusez-moi, madame. Those are words that you can also find in your translations when it comes to imperative, because you can actually give an order to a person in a polite manner too. So, s'il te plaît will be related to conjugations of tu, whereas s'il vous plaît will be related to conjugations of vous. And at the same time, you can use other polite words like monsieur, madame, mademoiselle. Okay, so this is the end of our lesson. So, I hope grade 10 students can learn a new lesson with these presentations, whereas for grade 11 students, it will be a good revision. Bonne chance et bonne continuation.
Thank you for watching iTVLK. Innovate, inform, impact.